Welcome back, researchers! If it's your first time here, my name's Adriana, and this channel is dedicated to sharing all the lessons I've learned and am learning as a new real estate investor. Now, in this video, we'll focus on what's to look for if you're buying a condo for a long-term investment, meaning you intend on renting it out. We're going to enlist the help of a professional. Just joking, it's me. I've compiled 9 years of things I've learned as a renter. So, in addition to a practical layout, which you know I'm an advocate for, here are the other things to consider. In my opinion, probably the most important aspect of the building will be the elevators, because they're essentially the transit infrastructure that will move people and things around. What I've learned is that the best ratio for resident comfort is 1 elevator to service every 9 or 10 floors. For example, in a 40-story condo tower, you should have 4 elevators. In higher end developments, you'll notice that the elevator to floor ratio is better because since people are paying a premium, the emphasis on resident comfort is definitely more pronounced. Now, it's important to keep in mind that the developer does have to strike a balance between having enough elevators for resident comfort or beyond, because the more space the elevators take up on the floor plate, the less the developer has for the actual units themselves. From a tenant's perspective, you should keep in mind that 1 elevator is usually in service at the beginning, middle, and end of the month for hours during the day to facilitate people moving in and out. Now, this might not seem like a big deal, but in a high-rise condo, it definitely can translate to longer wait times for the elevators. My worst experience was in a 45-story condo that only had 3 elevators. Because of the increased demand on the mechanical systems from servicing more floors day to day, the elevators were more prone to breaking down. There was a 2-week period when there was only 1 elevator running because one was in service and the other one was broken. Needless to say, that was a complete nightmare. Elevators are expensive to service, which will impact your maintenance fees. So it's better to look for buildings that have an adequate number to start with so that the system overall isn't strained over time. Building amenities definitely enhance resident experience, and the right ones are important to have. From my experience so far, I would say that priority number 1 is the gym in terms of size and equipment. So take a look at what's planned for the gym and how big it is, because a great gym can definitely add value to the building. Equipment that's popular are squat racks, a variety of free weights, treadmills, and ellipticals. The amenity that I would recommend staying away from as an investor is a pool. Pools are expensive to maintain, and if there's ever a leak, the remedial work can be quite extensive. If it happens to be an outdoor pool here in Toronto, it'll actually remain closed for most of the year. Similar to elevators, extensive pool maintenance and repairs will eventually impact your maintenance fees. Private outdoor space is definitely a value add and sought after in dense urban environments like the one that we have in Toronto. There are 3 types. First, Juliet balconies. They're classified as balconies because of the exterior aesthetic, but you can't actually step out onto them. They look like this. So really, you can just stick your head out for some fresh air. The second are balconies in the traditional sense that you can actually step out onto, and some are even big enough where you can have patio furniture on it. Now, they do vary in size, so be wary of the ones that are so small that you can't even fit a couple chairs on it, because really then what's the point? The most premium form of private outdoor space are terraces, which are traditionally larger than balconies, but the most important distinction is that it's classified as open space, meaning that your neighbor's concrete slab above doesn't cover your open space in its entirety. If your unit does come with a terrace, it would be even better if it came with a gas line rough-in for your own private barbecue. I'm bringing this up because there are many developments that do not allow barbecues on any private outdoor space. When it comes to resale, functional private outdoor space has definitely yielded better returns. Depending on the neighborhood that you're buying into, views can command a hefty premium. For example, along the Toronto waterfront, unobstructed views of the lake, or even a sliver of the lake, and views of the CN Tower are expensive. It's always nice to have a view of something that's not another building or another condo, but that's getting less and less probable with the rate of development that's going on in the city. As an investor, if you are paying a premium for a certain view during a pre-construction purchase, be sure to keep up to date of neighboring developments that may change that view so that you can be more informed on when the best time to sell is. In my opinion, if the view is unobstructed indefinitely, meaning that there's land or a park that cannot be developed on, it's worth the money. Parking can be a hit or miss depending on where your investment is located, because it can cost a lot. For example, there was a pre-construction project out on King West that was selling parking spots for $125,000 each. People are willing to pay a premium for parking in the rental and resale markets, but you need to work out the numbers to see if it's worth it. One quick way to do this is to check out neighboring buildings to see what units are leasing for with and without parking. Once you have an idea of what the difference is, take into account the maintenance fees that are charged for the parking spot, and that's usually identified on the price list sheet. Essentially, you need to work out how long it would take you to pay off the parking spot with the premiums that you could get. From a tenant's perspective, proximity to a grocery store, a proper one, and not just convenience stores, is really important to long-term tenancies. There are condos in Toronto that have a full-service grocery store at the bottom of the building, and what you'll find is that investors are willing to pay a premium for this feature in terms of attracting renters and increased resale value. What I've learned about proximity to public transit is that although proximity is a relative term, the general rule of thumb is that it's considered accessible if it's within a 15-minute walk. There is also an implicit preference for nearby transit to be on rails, a sort of hierarchy, so to speak. The understanding is that if it's on rails, it typically has its own right-of-way, meaning that it doesn't have to compete with other forms of transit on the street. So this would mean that the first choice would be to be located close to a subway or GO train station, followed by a streetcar route, followed by a bus route. Not all existing streetcar routes have their own right-of-way, but certainly the up-and-coming light rail transit projects in the city have for most, if not the entire alignment. You'll notice that projects that are located closer to subways are more expensive than those that are located close to a streetcar or bus route only. Okay, so these are the 7 things that I recommend keeping in mind if you're looking to purchase a condo as a long-term investment. The goal from an investor's point of view is to keep your maintenance fees low and your tenants happy to reduce turnover. Did I miss anything? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Thank you so much for tuning into research. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Take care.